Sekihotu and a warm welcome from Buddhist Mahavira's Facebook page. We are here this evening at the Dhammadana series, and we have with her a very erudite and learned Buddhist preacher, Buddhist monk. Bhante M. Piyarathana Thera has been on our online sharing many times, and he's also visited Malaysia. But currently Bhante is in Scotland. I would now like to bring Bhante into our studio. Bhante, let's see whether we can get him. Good evening, Bhante, or good afternoon, Bhante, in Scotland.
Good afternoon and good evening to all the online Dhamma friends. May the Triple Gem bless all of you.
So before we start this evening's Dhamma sharing, let me read Bhante's profile. For those of you who are not familiar with Bhante Piyarathana. Now, Bhante Mediyaya Piyarathana was a senior lecturer in English and the former head of the Department of Languages at the Faculty of Languages and Cultural Studies at the Bhikshu University in Sri Lanka. He held many academic and administrative positions at the university as the head of Department of Languages at the university. Bhante is currently pursuing his PhD in TESOL, which is Teaching English as a Second Language, research at the University of Stirling in Scotland, and he'll be there, I think, for the next 3 years. He has also completed his Master of Philosophy and Masters of Arts degrees in Linguistics from the University of Kelaniya in Sri Lanka. Bhante had also completed his Bachelor's of Arts degree in English, Pali and Sanskrit as the subjects at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura in Sri Lanka. He has written many research articles to many local and foreign academic journals, magazines, and done research presentations in national and international conferences. He has presented his research findings in countries like Vietnam, Australia, Philippines, India, and Singapore, while holding many responsibilities when he was at the university. He had visited Buddhist Mahavira on a lecture tour for 3 weeks in 2019 and have been an active contributor to the BMV Dhammadana series since 2020. He's also an executive committee member of the International Buddhist Confederation, IBC, based in India. With that, we'll now like to invite Bhante to start this evening's Dhamma sharing on the Alavaka Sutta, Discourse to the Demon Alavaka. Bhante?
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear Dhamma friends, you are going to join once again yet another Dhamma talk on a very important discourse. The discourse given to me for discussion today for Dhamma talk is Alavaka Sutta, Discourse to the Demon Alavaka. This discourse can be found in Sutta Pitaka of Samyutta Nikaya. The division or the volume 1 of Samyutta Nikaya is known as Sagata Vagga. It means this chapter contains discourses with verses. Alavaka Sutta contains 12 verses. This collection of discourses has been named as Yakka Sanyutta. So, the discourses delivered by the Buddha to demons like Alavaka, Indaka, Suchiloma, and so on can be found in Yakka Sanyutta. Alavaka Sutta is the 12th discourse of the chapter 1 in the Kavagga. I provided those details for you to explore more since you can spare some time for reading at home during the pandemic. Alavaka Sutta starts like this: Evang me sutang ekang samyang bhagavan. Alaviyang viherati alavakassa yakkassa bhavani. I think our Dhamma friends are aware about the introductory part of the discourse. Venerable Ananda has added this part to the discourse at the first Buddhist Council. It provides us with the place where the discourse was preached by the Buddha. Accordingly, the Buddha was living at Alavaka in the abode or the house of the demon Alavaka. Before I start the discourse, it is better to brief the story of the demon Alavaka from the Pali Canon and discuss the facts in the discourse for the benefit of Dhamma friends. At the time of the Buddha, Alavaka was a demon, a man-eating demon, lived in the forest of Alavaka. One day, the king of Alavaka was hunting in the forest. When returning to the palace, he was captured by the ferocious demon Alavaka, who threatened to eat him. When the king could not get the release from the demon, he promised to provide him daily with a human victim or prey. First, the king sent the criminals from the prison. When there were no criminals or prisoners, he required every family to provide a child. All the families with children finally fled to other lands. It became necessary for the king to offer his own son, the prince Alavaka. The Buddha was aware of the sacrifice going to happen. So, the Buddha went to the demon's abode on the day before the offering in order to save the demon from his evil ways. At that time, the demon Alavaka was attending a meeting at the Himalayas in India. The Buddha, having entered the abode of the demon Alavaka, sat down on his throne, preached the Dhamma to the women folk. When the demon heard about this, he hurriedly came to Alavaka in a fury with great anger and demanded that the Blessed One leave. I'll be using some Pali terms, few Pali terms to say the nature of the discourse in Pali for those who are familiar with Pali as well. Then the demon Alavaka says, Nikkama Samanati. It means that he commands the Buddha, go out, you recluse. Recluse means samana, it means a clergyman. Sadhau Soti Bhagava Nikkame. When the Blessed One or the Buddha went out, saying, very well, friend. Alavaka commanded the Buddha to go out. Then he calmly accepted and obeyed the demon and went out. Pavisa Samanate, Sadhau Soti Bhagava Pavisi, come in, you recluse. Saying, very well, friend, the Buddha went in. In this way, Buddha followed the advice of Alavaka, not the advice actually, command of Alavaka 3 times. The Buddha obeyed the commands of the demon because he knew that the obedience was the most effective way to soften his mind. Alavaka was furious with the prevailing situation. The Buddha, having gone 3 times to and fro, refused to obey the command of Alavaka in the 4th time and asked to do anything he likes. Then Alavaka decides to ask some questions. According to the commentary, Alavaka's parents had prepared those questions and their answers from Kashyapa Buddha and taught them to their son. He had written them on a golden leaf and stored in his palace. It is said that the answers the Buddha gave were the same to those given by Kashyapa Buddha. Alavaka challenges the Buddha. If you do not answer me, chittang vate kipisami. It means I will drive you insane. It means he is going to possess his mind. Hadayang vate parisami. I will split your heart. Alavaka is going to cleave the heart of the Buddha. Padeswa gahitva paragangayam kipisamiti. I will grab you by the feet and hurl you across the river. This reveals how powerful Alavaka was, even though he was in the form of a human being. He was very powerful. That's why he challenges in this manner, and this reveals the nature of his behavior as well. Then the Buddha said, well, friend, I do not see anyone in the world of Devas, Maras, and Brahmas, or among the generation of recluses, Brahmas, deities, and humans who could either possess my mind, cleave my heart, or take me by the feet and hurl me across the river. Nevertheless, friend, ask what you will. The Buddha gives the permission to the demon Alavaka to ask a question. And in the same way, I think even the Buddha challenges him. If you can answer, you can ask any question. I'll answer them. Buddha challenges, there will be no one that can do those things to the Buddha in this world. So there are 13 questions in the discourse, which are grouped together as 8. Only 4 questions were from his parents. The rest of the questions were asked by Alavaka himself, with the matters arising with the answers to the Buddha. Answers of the Buddha, actually. It is very important for us to understand the questions and answers. We will examine them and see the possibility of putting them into practice in our day-to-day lives. The demon Alavaka addressed the Blessed One in verse with 4 questions in the first verse. Kinsu davittang purisassa settang, kinsu suchinno sukamavahati, kinsu have saduttarang rasanang, katan jiving jivitamavu settanti. The Buddha also replied in verse with the answers to those 4 questions. Saddhi davittang purisassa settang, Dhammo suchinno sukamavahati. Satchang have sadhu tarang rasanang. Panya jiving jivitamahu settanti. We will examine those questions and answers and see how we can put those matters into practice and progress in our lives. Okay. The demon Alavaka asked the first question, what wealth is the best for man? The Buddha answers, faith is the wealth best for man. Faith means saddha. Dear Dhamma friends, if you can become faithful to yourself, your parents, friends, and everyone in the society, including non-human beings, there will be the protection everywhere. Even if you have a pet dog at home, and if you are faithful to it, it's going to protect you from danger. Faith or conviction becomes the highest faith for human being. Faith is a man's best treasure because it brings mundane and supramundane happiness as its result. It alleviates the suffering of birth and aging. It alleviates poverty with respect to excellent qualities. And it is the means of obtaining the gems of the enlightened practice. Dear Dhamma friends, we have to practice faith in our lives to gain the best wealth that human beings can possess. The second question Alavaka asked was, what well practice will bring happiness? Dhamma well practice shall bring happiness. This is very good for us as we are now engaging in listening to Dhamma, which can be practiced in our day-to-day lives to get happiness. Dear Dhamma friends, when you practice Dhamma or the doctrine well, it means you don't do bad things even in secret. It will bring you happiness in this world and beyond. Dhamma here is the 10 wholesome qualities of giving, virtue, and meditation, etc. If you practice Dhamma, Dhamma will protect you. Dhamma brings human happiness, celestial happiness, and in the end, the happiness of Nibbana. Nibbanang Paraman Sukham. It will be the supreme happiness, the highest bliss. The third question is, what is the sweetest of all taste? Truth indeed is the sweetest of all taste. Dear Dhamma friends, by truth here, truthful speech is intended. With Nibbana as the ultimate truth, Paramatta Satya, and truth as abstinence from falsehood, Virati Satya. Virati means you avoid them. Comprise within that. Of the various kinds of taste, truth is really the sweetest taste of all. Truth alone is the sweetest or the best, sadhutaram, according to the discourse, the supreme or the highest. Taste from food nourishes only the body and bring a defiled happiness. But the taste of truth nourishes the mind with serenity and insight and brings an undefiled happiness. Then Alavaka poses the fourth question. How lived is the life they say is best? The best life is the life living with wisdom. Dear Dhamma friends, all of you can live wisely. With your wisdom, you can decide what is right and what is wrong. You can avoid the bad deeds or demerit in a wise manner. In this way, one's life living with wisdom is the best. Now you can understand faith or saddha as the best wealth. Practicing Dhamma for happiness. Truth as the sweetest taste. And living with wisdom as the best life. So 4 verses are very important in this discourse. The first verse preached by the Buddha revealed these very important facts. Faith and practicing Dhamma, then truth and wisdom. We can put these qualities in our lives. If we put these qualities in our lives into practice, then we can reach the ultimate happiness. Then Alavaka asked the second verse, which consists of 4 questions once again. Katansu tarati ogang katansu tarati annavang katansu dukkhang accheti katansu parisujjati. This contains 4 questions. We'll elaborate them. The Buddha replies with 4 answers. Saddhaya tarati ogam appamadena annavang viriyena dukkhang accheti panyaya parisujjati. How does one cross over the flood? Then the Buddha replies, by faith, one crosses over the flood. The Pali term for flood is oga, which is 4-fold. They are kama oga, sense pleasures, bhava oga, becoming, ditthi oga, wrong views, and avijja, ignorance. So why do we need faith to overcome, we just say, these barriers? If you have saddha or faith, you can control your sense pleasures. You can control becoming. You can control wrong views. You can control your ignorance. If you have faith, you will listen Dhamma and put them into practice. Then there won't be any obstacle. You can go over the flood or the ogre very easily. Then Alavaka questions, how does one cross over the ocean? The Buddha replies, by diligence, we can cross the ocean. Dear Dhamma friends, we need to cultivate diligence or heedfulness to achieve our targets with good intention. Although we can cross the ocean quickly with the advancement of new technology at present, it was a difficult task in the past. To cross over the ocean of birth and becoming, known as samsara, dispensation. In this dispensation, we have to cultivate diligence in an effective manner. Without diligence, we cannot achieve anything even in our day-to-day lives. Then Alavaka questions, how does one overcome suffering? By effort, one overcomes suffering. As the followers of the Buddha, with constant effort, we can eradicate suffering, whether it is physical or mental. As Buddhists, we have to cultivate the constant effort and achieve achieve all our targets and finally overcome suffering. How is one's life purified? By wisdom, one's life is purified. Once again, the Buddha emphasizes wisdom here. We have to pay special attention for wisdom. There is a great emphasis in Buddhism for wisdom. Without being wise, we cannot purify ourselves. No one can purify others. If we want to get away from defilements or pleasure, we must act wisely. Dear Dhamma friends, now you can observe faith, diligence, effort, and wisdom. These four qualities were emphasized by the Buddha in his verse as a reply to Alavaka. So you can understand now faith and wisdom can be found in both verses preached by the Buddha. If I explain more about these two verses, we can see the important teachings in Buddhism. The verses 3 and 4 describe the four floods, or the four lines of the reply, and sees each line as implying a particular path and route on the four floods. Since the faith faculty is the basis for the four factors of the stream entry, the first line shows the stream enterer, so on, who has crossed the flood of views. The second line shows the once returner, Sakadagami, who by means of diligence has crossed the flood of existence, except for the one more existence in the sense sphere world. The third line shows the non-returner, Anagami, who has overcome the flood of sensuality, a mass of suffering. And the fourth line shows the path of arahantship, which includes the fully purified wisdom, by means of which one crosses over the flood of ignorance. You can see a great simile used by the Buddha to present the abstract facts. With these 8 questions, Demon Alavaka finished the questions he had learned from his parents. When the Buddha finished speaking, bringing his verse to a climax in arahantship, the demon Alavaka was established in the fruit of stream entry. Now he is in the correct path to get the correct understanding. When the Buddha said, by wisdom, one is purified, the demon Alavaka picked up one word, wisdom, and asked a question, how does one gain wisdom? It is very important for us also. When Arahants treat the Dhamma leading to Nibbana, if one listens to that Dhamma with close attention and confident mind, and investigate the Dhamma diligently, in this way, one gains wisdom. The Blessed One shows here 4 causes for gathering wisdom. Faith. One places faith in Dhamma, by which Arahants, Buddhas or Pacceka Buddhas, and the disciples attain Nibbana. By doing so, one gains the mundane and supramundane wisdom for the attainment of Nibbana. But that does not come to pass merely by faith. When faith is born, one approaches a teacher, lends an ear, and hears the Dhamma. As a result, one gains a desire to learn. In this discourse, it is known as sususa. It means we create the desire to learn the Dhamma. When one lends an ear and listens from a desire, one gains wisdom. But one must also be diligent, appamatto, in the sense of being constant, mindful, and intelligent, vichakkano, able to distinguish what is well spoken and what is badly spoken. So, Buddha emphasizes diligence and intelligence as key factors for gaining wisdom. Dear Dhamma friends, I'll explain this again. Through faith, one enters upon the practice that leads to gaining wisdom. Through a desire to learn, one carefully listens to the means for acquiring wisdom. Through diligence, one does not forget what he has learned. Through diligence, one expands upon what one has learned. Or else, through a desire to learn, one leads an ear and listens to the Dhamma, by which one gains wisdom. Through diligence, one bears in mind the Dhamma heard. By diligence, one examines the meaning, and then gradually one realizes the ultimate truth. You have to remember the facts of the discourse for realizing the ultimate truth. Then Alavaka questions as the 10th question, how does one obtain wealth? As human beings, we need wealth. If you want wealth, you can find the way to obtain wealth from this discourse. We will see. During what is proper and being dutiful and exerting effort, one obtains wealth. Dutiful means not neglecting one's responsibilities and implies mental energy. You have to decide what is correct and what is right. You have to do your duty in a proper manner. One with initiative, uttata, implies physical energy. You have to act physically and mentally in the proper way for obtaining wealth. and you have to be dutiful. You have to use your effort to obtain wealth. How does one achieve fame? By truthfulness, one achieves fame. If you tell lies, the bad reputation will be there. No one will trust you and your words. Why can't you be truthful all the time to achieve fame? No one can do it for you. As explained in the early answer also, you have to be diligent and intelligent to be truthful. These things are interconnected for the highest achievement or attainment. How does one win many friends? So the next question was, how can we make friends? The Buddha explains, by giving gift, one wins many friends. By giving gift, we can make friends. If you want to keep friends, you have to share gifts. On various occasions in life, we share various gifts with friends to stay connected with each other. If you can share the good qualities of Dhamma with your friends, it will be the highest form of gift. Then the Buddha answers to the question of Alavaka, when passing from this world to the next, how does one not sorrow? So we are living in this world, we don't know where we will be born again. So when we are born again, we will see what will result in not sorrowing. If a faithful householder is truthful, wise and energetic, and fond of giving, by virtue of these four qualities, we will not sorrow when we pass on. For what reason do we need to be truthful, wise, energetic, and practice of giving? It is because we want to live righteously in this world and get ready for the next life to stay without sorrow. If you wish, then the Buddha answered all the questions of Alavaka. Having answered the questions, now the Buddha challenges Alavaka. If you wish, ask of other recluses and Brahmins, if there is anything better in this world than truth, self-control, generosity, and patience. The Buddha presents four qualities: truth, self-control, generosity, and patience. These qualities were not missing with the demon Alavaka. Then the emphasis is there. Why should I now ask? Then Alavaka says, why should I now ask other recluses and Brahmins when today I learn all those factors that lead to happiness in this life and the next? Alavaka once again emphasized, indeed, out of compassion for me, the Buddha came to my dwelling at Alavi. On this day, I learned to whom a gift should be given to gain the highest fruit. Alavaka understood the facts through the answers of the Buddha. He gained the full understanding of the answers given by the Buddha to those for those 8 questions that he learned from his parents. Having understood them, he reveals his pleasure with the arrival of the Buddha. He himself said, I don't want to ask anyone because I understood very well the teachings of the Buddha. Then he says, Sohang vicharisami gama gamang pura purang. Namassamano sambuddhang dhammasacha sudhammatanti. From village to village and town to town, I shall now travel about worshipping the Supreme Buddha and praising the excellence of the Dhamma. Earlier, the demon Alavaka was killing people and he was eating men, eating human beings. Now he is going to do something else. He's going to spread the virtues of the Buddha. He's going to worship the Buddha and he's going to praise and spread the teachings of the Buddha as it is beneficial for him and others. Having realized the teachings of the Buddha with those explanations, he expresses his delight. Because with the questions and answers to the questions that he learned from parents, he could not understand it very well. Then he continued to question the Buddha, how can one gain wisdom? And so on. He understood the facts very well. After that, he experienced his pleasure towards the end of the discourse. The demon Alavaka said to the Buddha, Abhikkantam Bhogotama, Abhikkantam Bhogotama. Seyatapi Bhogotama, Seyatapi Bhogotama. Magnificent Master Gotama. Magnificent Master Gotama. He's very happy in the way the Buddha answered those questions. He says further, the nature of his understanding. As a man were to set upright what was overturned, it means he was not in the proper way. Although he was a demon, he was in the form of human beings. Then he learned the correct way to behave as human beings from the teachings of the Buddha. He says the Buddha helped him to reveal what was hidden. What was hidden to him? The teachings or the Dhamma was hidden to him. That is why he says the Buddha helped him to reveal what was hidden. Then he says the Buddha helped him to show the way to one who was lost. He was lost. Where he was lost? He was lost in samsara. He was lost without knowing the correct path to lead his life. And he says further, the Buddha helped to carry a lamp into the darkness that those with eyes could see forms. It means he was in the darkness. Now he can see the world in the real nature. That is why he was killing people and so on. After Alavaka says, the Dhamma has been made clear in many ways. by the Master Gautama. He says, I go for refuge to the Master Gautama, to the Dhamma, and to the community of monks. He makes a request now. Although he commanded and challenged the Buddha before, now he makes a request. May the Venerable Gautama accept me as a lay follower who has gone for refuge to the Triple Gem. From today onwards, for as long as life lasts, this is a good expression. If you become a Buddhist with the real understanding of the doctrine, no one can convert you into other faiths. It reveals the lack of knowledge of those who convert into other faiths. So I'll take 1 more minute to explain the background of the story. According to the commentary, when Alavaka finished speaking, it is said that the sun rose in the following day, and the king's men arrived, bringing the prince as a sacrificial offering. They handed the infant to Alavaka, and he who presented him to the Buddha. The Buddha recited some verses of blessing over the boy and returned him to the king's men. Upon learning the demon's conversion, the king and the citizens of Alavi built for him a special residence near that city, where they provided with gift flowers and scents and many more. When the prince reached maturity, he was known as Hattaka Alavaka because he had been passed around from one person's hand, Hatta, to others. He attained the stage of non-returner and one of the foremost lay disciples. He became the foremost lay followers of the Buddha among those who make use of the 4 means of attracting and sustaining others. The discourse to the demon Alavaka is very significant for us as it reveals the key teachings of the Buddha. I hope all of you could understand the teachings of the Buddha, and I provided details for you to go through and examine it more and more with the explanations in this discourse. So I'm going to conclude the talk, giving you the opportunity to raise questions if you have regarding this discourse before transferring merit.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you for the interesting explanation on the Alavaka Sutta. Coincidentally, I think at the moment, I don't see any questions being raised. Yep, there are no questions, just comments on our Facebook page. If that is so, then I think we can proceed to the Anumodana, Bhante.
Okay. So today, dear Dhamma friends, you learned one of the very important discourses in Buddhism. I request all of you to go through the discourse and examine those facts in the discourse and see how we can put them into practice and get the success in our lives. Dear Dhamma friends, I transfer the merit that we obtain by listening to the Dhamma talk on the discourse to the demon Alavaka to you, all the online listeners, sponsors, and all the beings. May all of you, online listeners, sponsors, organizers, and people in general inherit this merit and improve the quality of faith, happiness, and wisdom for the success of the lives of all. May all of you be free from COVID-19 virus. May all those who work in the front lines of curbing the virus get the necessary energy to save the lives of corona victims. May all beings be well and happy. May the Triple Gem bless all of you.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you for the excellent sharing and the Anumodana. Uh, just for before we end, before we take this opportunity to end this evening's Dhamma sharing, let me have a look. There's still no questions, Bhante. So anyway, just for everyone's information, Bhante Piyarathana is in Scotland. He's studying at the University of Stirling to complete his PhD in TESOL research, and Bhante is being self-funded. I'm just helping Bhante. It's an advertisement to you, Bhante. For
Okay.
those of you who like to help Bhante kind of offset his fees, as you know, studying in Scotland is not cheap. Bhante is self-funded, so if you like to help him cover his study fees, you can see the scrolling at the bottom of the screen. His email is there. Yeah, you can contact Bhante via that email, and I'm sure Bhante will be very grateful for any kind of assistance that you will provide. Um, the Buddhist Mahavihara has also assisted Bhante to cover some of his fees, and we have some of our devotees here in Malaysia is also helping Bhante as much as we can. So before we end this evening's Dhamma sharing, let me take this opportunity on behalf of the Committee of Management and also the monks of the Buddhist Mahavihara, and also to all our sponsors this evening, and to all our viewers this evening at the Buddhist Mahavihara's Facebook page on our Dhammadana series, to thank Bhante for taking time off his studies in Scotland to be with us this afternoon in Scotland. I think Bhante is now going to have his Dana time in Scotland. And Bhante will be with us in 2 weeks' time to discuss another sutta. I think it's the Moni Sutta, right, Bhante?
Yes, of course.
The Moni Sutta, which is also under the Sutta Nikaya, chapter 112. It's 12, section 12. It's called the Moni Sutta, and Bhante will be with us in 2 weeks' time. So that'll be September 21st. February 21st at 8:30 p.m. here at the Buddhist Mahavihara. So with that, we've come to the end of this evening's Dhamma sharing, and let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And Bhante, thank you again, and hope to see you very soon.
Okay.
And
Hope to see you.
in 2 weeks. And with that, have a pleasant evening and a sadhu.
May the Triple Gem bless all of you.